So Nancy, we welcome you with our hearts. Welcome aboard to share your story. Nancy's line is about planning for international and domestic travel, a natural shift in perspective. Nancy is from Trufflepig, a travel agency. She's based in Canada, in pretty Canada. And we're about to hear her story, which is connected with a deep shift or her own perspective. So a lovely story.
Well, hello, everyone. And I would like to thank Remote, the entire team, for all of the work that you guys have done in the last year, keeping us connected together, and for those of you that have participated in the events as well. And I would love to give you a little bit of a window into how our planning perspective has changed as a company during this past year. But first off, in honor of hospitality, one of humanity's great art that allows us to welcome and be welcomed, something that so many of us have been missing and longing for this last year, not just in a sense of travel, but also in a simpler sense of having people into our homes. So I would like to welcome you into my humble office and my home, and also the region within Canada that I live in, which is Douro. Now, this is an older map of the community that I live in. It's about 2 hours northeast of Toronto, and it is a rural area, a land of lakes and rivers and rolling agricultural fields. And if you look at the U in Douro, it was named after the Portuguese region. And head south from the U, you will see the small hamlet that's called South Douro. And that is the crossing, or the four corners, that I grew up in. And when we were young, the landmarks that were around that crossing, the church, the school, the library, the mechanics, and the hall, even the cemetery where many of my relatives have been buried for over 200 years, and also the post office and the general store, which my family ran as a business. That was our world of familiarity. But all we had to do when we were young was hop over the fence from our village, and we were amongst 25 square kilometers of unknown, essentially, of fields, of pastures, of forest, and of what we thought as young people as the greatest sledding hill in the world. And we would head out in the snow with snow up to our ankles or knees or even hips, depending on how old we were and how much snow had fallen, with our cousins, and we'd spend the day sledding down that hill. And those memories to me represent the initial experiences I had in independent exploration. And it was about 5 years ago, after I'd spent over half my life living thousands of kilometers away from this tiny crossing in different parts of Canada, as well as Europe and South America for work, that I decided to return. And I bought myself a little house, which ironically, as the crow flies, is only about 3 kilometers from that crossing where I grew up. And I recall a good friend of mine who was very concerned, and he said he was worried that I was choosing the path of most certainty and of most security and familiarity. And I remember it floored me, because I knew in my heart that I was embarking on one of the most challenging and also rich adventures of my life. And many of us in the travel industry have experienced firsthand that a place and the people in a place never remain static, whether you're there or not. So this is I like to call it my Trufflepig Douro headquarters. This is the office from which I write to you now. And I'm a part of a team of 3 Latin American planners, Anton and Victoria, and I work remotely side by side together. And Trufflepig is a tiny trip planning company that we consider curiosity as our greatest asset. And the Trufflepig is most certainly our true spirit animal because of its astute nose and its ability to unearth tiny and hard to find gems, but also sometimes the simplest of things that can really bring out the essence in a place. And that's what we aim to do on our research trips. And we have planners that are located in different parts of Europe and Morocco as well. And those people plan for regions within the country that they're living, as well as other countries. There are also 8 of us that are based in Canada. And ironically, none of us have in the past been considered planners for Canada. So this is something in our perspective that changed a lot this year. We always considered ourselves a Canadian trip planning company, yet we didn't see ourselves as trip planners for Canada. But nor did our clients see us for that reason. And the majority of our clients are North American based. So perspective changed for all of us this last year during lockdowns and travel regulations and restrictions. Now, perspective of experience, like life, is not linear. Let me try and explain what I mean to say by this. And this is a personal reflection of mine that I felt more and more over this past year. We often talk about our experience and perspective in life, and we express it on a linear level. If we're looking back, it means that we're reflecting on the past or remembering the past. If we're moving forward, then we're often moving beyond the experiences that we've previously had. And during the quiet of this year, when many of us have experienced a flood of memories from things that we've done in previous years, I began to take comfort in thinking about our experiences in life more like the growth rings of a tree, like you see in this picture. And the comfort in that for me was that we're always growing around our experiences, and therefore our experiences become a part of us. And no matter how far away from them we may get in time, they're still accessible as we move around these growth circles. And for Trufflepig, we've definitely had a year where we've had to draw and look inward on these experiences that we've had to figure out how we were going to survive and eventually thrive again as a company. So just to give you a little perspective through some numbers, which I'm imagining many of you can relate to, at the beginning of 2020, we were set to surpass our best year yet as a company. In 2019, we had run 400 trips worldwide, and and we were set to surpass that amount. However, the postponements and cancellations began early in March, and in the end, we ended up running a total of 3 trips worldwide last year. And we also went from a company of 32 employees to 15. So we needed to start thinking, as we all did, about how we were going to keep adapting during the travel restrictions that seemed to get longer and longer, with ending points that were less and less certain. And a couple of things that we did know, we did not want to be selling travel at a time of such uncertainty, but we knew that we had to stay engaged with our clients, with each other, with the places and the people that we have been working with all along. And the best way to engage with them was through curiosity. And historically in Trufflepig, we have used sounder articles. This is a page on our website wherein planners have a chance to get rid of the numbers and the logistics of of the basics of our day-to-day planning, and we're able to look at more at the complexities of a place. We could be looking through a journalistic lens or more of a poetic or a reflective lens. And it's not used directly as a sales tool for us, but it is used as a tool of engagement. And so we started as planners writing, and it was almost in March and April and May, those initial months where we all seemed to feel like we had blinders on, not really sure where anything was going. It was very therapeutic for us, and we were writing out of nostalgia, out of love for places we've traveled, out of a desire for places we wanted to travel, and research trips that we were preparing to do once restrictions allowed. And we got an incredible response from our clients. People would write our emails personally to thank us for the inspiration, as well as just for giving them a little bit of hope that someday they would be able to travel again. And it wasn't long after that, though, as the pandemic continued on, that some of our clients reached out to us and said, "This is great. However, we are really looking for where we can go now." And we were left as planners also within the boundaries of our own country here in Canada. And we also wanted to know where we could go now. And it was a shift in perspective of all of a sudden realizing the incredible country that we live in, that we'd never really looked through the lens of a destination, or that our experiences and our connections would be valuable for planning trips here. And this is something that when we started writing the Sounders, if you have a chance to take a look at these, you'll find that none of them are going to direct you towards a specific hotel or a specific itinerary. They're very much written from a personal place. So we know that this is the beginning of our journey looking at planning trips in Canada. And we learned a lot about each other as well. I shared a bit of my family story with folk music in Canada. Tyler wrote about his multicultural neighborhood within Toronto and the connections that he saw in other places that he's traveled over the decades. Dan wrote about his grueling 1,000-mile canoe trip through the Yukon in northern Canada. And Claudia wrote about her honeymoon driving 13,000 kilometers across the country and back with her husband. So they were all, without having had any of those experience with planning a trip in mind, we were able to draw on those to get the ball rolling. So here we are embarking on this new leg of our journey as a company. And I was listening to a theoretic physicist. His name is Carlo Rovelli. He's Italian and he teaches at a university here in Ontario. And he was speaking about, it was an interview, one thing that he said that stuck with me was, few things are as beautiful as just go and see. And I think in this last year, we've all had a chance to just stay and see, and we've realized what a beautiful thing that can be. This photograph here is actually of a river 15 minutes from my home, and I've seen it from so many different perspectives over the year, whether paddling or hiking, but this was the first time I had ever been brought to this lookout to have this incredible higher up perspective of a place I thought I knew so well. So as planners, we are doing our best right now we're all very focused and dedicated on the regions and the places that we've always planned for, but we do have one planner who is dedicated to taking on our new requests for Canada. And we know that the demand will increase and that we have a lot of work to evolve the program that we're working on. And someday we hope to be able to return the hospitality that we've had in so many other places traveling around the world by welcoming more people here. And on that note, as planners, we're surrounded by the familiar, but we're hopping over that fence into the next great adventure of our company's history.
Then you have 2 minutes.
Oh, that was it. I'm all finished. Thank you.
Wow!
Brilliant job, Nancy.
Perfect.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Great.
Beautiful.
Nancy, I remember you, something that we discussed over the meetings to get to this presentation. It was about the infrastructure that you have there. When you started like planning for Canada, the type of hotels, for example, how were they, and what do you feel that you can offer the best for the clients that are now looking for Trufflepig, considering Canada and not the rest of the world?
Yes. One of the interesting points that during our talk earlier this week, we as a company, we've definitely had moments of I guess insecurities, really, as we all do when we start something new and looking at something in a brand new light. And one of the questions or the concerns that came up was that Canada doesn't really have the infrastructure that we're used to working with in so many other places as far as luxury hotels go. And that's been a work in progress of, again, remembering that curiosity is our greatest asset, and some of the greatest parts of a trip can be the simplest. And of course, there are some luxury lodges in the country, and I believe that's going to grow with time as well. But for now, there's no reason not to see all of the incredible things in a country, the remoteness, the multiculturalism, the different languages between French and English, as well as so many indigenous languages, as well as any given city, you can hear so many first languages from the people that live there as well.
Thank you, Nancy. So I take the 2 minutes extra to compliment. That was very inspiring. Thanks a lot. We have a question here from Ed. Will domestic travel reach the same clients as your international offerings? So what's your saying on that?
Can you repeat the question, Alice? Sorry.
The question is from Ed, and he's typing here, will your domestic travel reach the same clients as your international offerings? What is your saying on that?
Great question. Yes, and I think the answer is yes. Initially, our main clients right now are looking to travel within Canada and within North America. And I think that eventually maybe someday we will have international clients that we're bringing into the country. For now, we're more focused on the immediate, and that's planning for our clients that aren't able to travel abroad at the moment. But even beyond the time of restrictions lifting, we know that there is potential there, whether it's for North Americans to travel within their own continent or people from beyond that.
Beautiful. Well, thanks a lot, Nance, again.